Good evening, YouTube. Today, well, let me start. I know I haven't been posting as many videos as I was when I first built the channel. The reality is, got a million things going on. But today, we're going to install a winch on my Jeep TJ. So this thing is really stock, like factory stock, and that's going to be changing. I've got a lot of stuff over here in the corner, a lot of ideas. Recently I sold my Jeep Cherokee, and instead of putting the money into this Jeep, which was the original plan, I decided to buy some equipment for the shop, and that's a little bit of a different subject. The reality is I don't have room for it. And I have been spending a lot of time making some hard decisions, throwing out some things, storing some things, giving some stuff away. And I have this winch that was actually bought for my Suburban about 2 years ago. Then I got the Jeep and I decided it was a better fit for the Jeep, and we'll worry about the Suburban later because I haven't been doing anything with that either. So this is going to be a really simple install. Basically, it doesn't get any easier than putting a winch on a Jeep TJ. So we're just going to give you a few quick things what I'm going to do. Then I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to do it. And then I'll show you the final product. We'll talk about my winch a little bit. So let's start with the winch mount I got. Is a very inexpensive mount I bought from Summit Racing. I do not think it's going to be the last version. I may end up with a different mount. I may end up modifying it, working it into some later on modifications. The mount I've got didn't come with any instructions, but it's pretty straightforward. I feel it's self-explanatory. All you do is you got to remove the cover over the sway bar, a couple bolts on the side, that's real easy. Remove the tow hooks, a couple of the bolts for the sway bar bracket. You put the winch mount on there, bolt it back together, done. Well, you got to put the winch on it and wire it. I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm actually going to remove the bumper because I want to remove this bracket for a tow bar that was installed by a previous owner. And I need to remove the bumper to get to the bolts behind there. I'm going to remove the little plastic bumper extensions that they look silly on a stock Jeep. They're going to look really silly after I start doing some modifications on here. So that's really it. I mean, unhook the fog lights, 2 bolts on the top, 1 on the bottom, same thing on the other side, everything comes off. Then I'll put it back together. I was going to cut the bumper off, shorten it up. I'm not going to deal with that at this time. So I'm sure there's going to be multiple times where I'll be messing with the bumper. So we're just trying to get this thing, literally get it off the floor of the shop. It's a little heavy to move around. I'm running out of places to store things. So I'm putting it on the Jeep just to get it off the floor, honestly. So I'm going to put it on there. Boom, boom, boom. And then I'll show you the final product, and maybe I'll come up with some something useful besides take it apart, put it back together in the reverse order, and you're done. So last night I started the install on my winch, and I have a tendency to just tear into things, throw the instructions away, or lose them in the packaging, and it kind of came back on me last night. This would have been probably a 2-hour job complete, but I ended up having to take it pretty close to all the way apart, and I'll go over that. I'm going to take the camera off the mount and walk around with it and show you a couple things. Do a little review on the winch and the mounting plate. Overall, it's pretty much what I expected. It fits on there. I got some complaints, but some of them I knew were going to be an issue. The whole thing would have taken about 2 hours. I actually had the winch sitting on there in about 20 minutes. Of course, I had to take some things apart. These M-series winches, the control box is loose in the box, in the packaging, and you have to assemble all of that onto the winch, and it takes a little bit of time getting everything the way you want it. If it was one of the winches that has solenoids and everything integral, and they got a bridge over the drum that houses all that, and it's already all in there. Those go a lot faster. Routing the cables up to the battery and stuff, I think 2 hours would have been reasonable of actual work time. I didn't count tearing it back apart and doing it over. So once again, we have the Warn M8000 mounted on 2004 Jeep Wrangler. I don't have any complaints about the winch yet. I haven't done anything with it other than quickly test it. But I've installed 3 of these on my own personal vehicles, and we have 20 or 30 trucks at work with winches on them. The Warn winches, in my opinion, are the best way to go. There's less expensive winches, cheaper winches. This is an American-made winch. I believe that's worth paying for, not only from a personal standpoint, but from a quality standpoint. When you get the winch, this one is a winch, the cable's on it, but everything else is loose in bags, and you got to do some assembly work. The cables should always be hooked directly to the battery, and you're kind of on your own routing them. The winch is considered universal, so you're going to have to figure out how to route the cables and make it work. I have found that the cables are long enough every time, as long as the battery is mounted in the front of the vehicle. Anyway, I think a little bonus would be if Warn would include some zip ties and some miscellaneous items for the install, but I guess I can't complain too much on that. Onto the winch mounting plate. So I got a few issues. The first issue is not with the price. I just went and looked online. This winch mount is $30. That's a Summit brand. If you buy it from Smitty Built, or there was another one. One of them was 80 bucks, the other one was 100 bucks, and as far as I can tell, it's the same thing. I really doubt that Summit is carving these things out themselves. They're buying them from somebody. So the price on the plate, I like it, and that was the idea. I've realized that my bumper, the final product on the bumper, is subject to change, and I didn't want to get too involved in a winch mount that I was going to throw away. So now, a couple things. The fair lead is mounted, in my opinion, about a 1/4 inch low. The one option would be to use the additional hole we have here in the fair lead and raise it up. I think that would be too much. It's possible the cable would drag across the bottom lip of the mount back in here behind the fair lead. In a perfect world, the way it's spooled up now, it's fine, it clears. but I actually had to remove the top roller from the fair lead to get the fat end of the cable through it so that I could put the hook on it. You know, you got to pull it through the fair lead, put the hook on it. It wouldn't, conveniently anyway, wouldn't fit through there. I pulled the top roller out because that was the easiest way to do it. The other thing is it literally sticks out 5.5 inches from the front of the bumper. That is not the best scenario for an off-road vehicle. In all honesty, a different bumper, a different mount. There's other mounts you can buy out there. I think the genuine Warn high-profile mount that actually allows the winch to sit further back on the chassis above the sway bar is about $250. Now, the sway bar on here is going to go away. It's temporary. And that said, my cables run right here by the sway bar. I think it would take about 1,000 years to wear the split loom and the insulation off that positive cable. But the sway bar moves and I got my cable laying up against it. So that's temporary. That's going to get changed. Other than that, it pretty much fits, you know. It does what it's supposed to do. Got it off the floor. I took the bumper extensions off. That looks a little better, I think. It also had a license plate screwed on the front over there, and I ditched that for the time being. So that's my 2 cents on it. I think those are the only issues I had as far as complaints. The mounting position, and I kind of knew that. But for $30, what do you want? You can buy a better winch mount. You can buy a better bumper. You can build it yourself. This is just something to get the winch on there, and then it was cheap enough I can carve it up and reuse it later on as I progress with the project. So thank you for watching. I appreciate everybody's comments. I don't respond to comments very often, mostly due to time, and sometimes they're, I don't know, maybe they're not worthy. So I like the Warn winches. I keep buying them. I'll continue to buy them. And I like the USA made Warn winches. This is the M series. They got a few others, but they've got a VR series that is a China winch. Yes, it says Warn on it. You can buy what you want, but when I'm going to count on a winch, I want it to be something I can count on. Not saying we can't break this one, but I've had 3 of these, and the oldest one, I still have it. It's been on my Jeep for 20 years. And all it does is work. It's never given me a problem. So, peace out. Be safe. Comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I'll try to get some more videos going on here in the near future. Thank you very much.